Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. Introducing my deck of the month for October, which is Tarot of the Cat People. I'm not sure that I even still have the box, but I don't keep it in the box. I keep it in this little pouch here. And you know what? I can't recall if this was gifted to me or if I found it in a thrift shop. So Lark, if this is one of the things that you gave me, one of those things that you threw in a box, thank you. It works great for this, especially since the concept for this deck is kind of a desert culture. So yeah, you got the salamander, the lizard, whatever that may be on the cover, and it fits in it really great. So actually the guidebook a little bit first. One of the things I'm going to be doing this month, and probably within the next week, is to read through this guidebook again. I'm pretty sure I read through it completely the first time, which is something I don't normally do. But this deck is based essentially on the author's fantasy world that she has created for a deck. The outer regions. And this guidebook also is made of sturdier paper than the usual guidebook, which is interesting. Copyrighted 1985. I think it was re-released. I think probably more than once, but I think I got this used and kind of shortly after that, it was re-released. Let me see. And this is from 1985. Trying to find the place where it talks about the fact that it's an invented well, not really landscape, type of people. So it says, Karen Geikendal, the creator of the Tarot of the Cat People, is called by people who know her the Cat Lady. Her art has been influenced not only by felines, but also by architecture, anthropology, art history, costume and history, her travels in Europe, Mexico, and the United States, and especially the location of her present home, the desert of Arizona. So that kind of shows you where her heart lies. And it's cat people of the outer regions. And so it goes into like this whole anthropological talk about who they are and the outer regions, which is where they reside, what they look like, their arts and crafts, the wilderness that they live in. And they're, in the arcana, majors and minors are the 5 kingdoms of the outer regions. Each one has its own beliefs, rituals, customs, traditions, and legends. All have a common belief in the cosmic order. So, the Suit of Pentacles, Kahulawe, the Sapphire Kingdom is what the Suit of Pentacles is, whose inhabitants are the Rock People. The Rock People are stable, home-loving, and conservative. They are very creative and artistic, perhaps inspired by the bizarre domes, spires, billowy undulations, canyons, and caves in their rocky homeland. Theirs is a land of prosperity. So, the Suit of Swords, I was just reading the last one, is Thnosis, the Ruby Kingdom, whose people are called the Fire People. The terrain of this kingdom, volcanic, jagged, sinister, and quake-prone, is reflected somewhat by the nature of the people, who can be aggressive, volatile, nervous, and excitable. They are known for great courage and endurance, but one cannot expect them to be constant or even-tempered in the most unstable kingdom of the outer regions. The Suit of Wands. Swahihik. And she's giving a pronunciation here. She's providing a pronunciation for what she's calling them. The Emerald Kingdom, whose people are known as the Sand People. Much of this kingdom is made of great sand dunes in the valley's green oasis. What? Is made of great sand dunes, and in the valley's green oases are nested. All right, so there's something wrong with that sentence. The inhabitants, being resourceful and intelligent, have made fine cities using their limited resources. Although there is generally a conservative attitude in the kingdom, the people are prolifically creative, and their major industry, based on the abundant resources of sand, produces the most beautiful and fascinating glassware in the outer regions. Which is interesting because I don't believe it's really shown in the cards, this supposed glassware. The wands are lit or shed light, and I was kind of looking at that whole suit recently as I was just kind of going through the deck again in preparation for it being my deck of the month, and was thinking that the Suit of Wands might have to do with illumination. But there are places where the Suit of Wands, in fact, is not, none of the wands are lit. And the Suit of Cups, Ajengur. Okay, the Topaz Kingdom, whose inhabitants are called the Salt People. Despite a hard and inhospitable terrain of vast salt flats, baked alkali deserts, salt canyons, and eroded limestone cliffs, so they're all kind of bleak landscapes, the people of Ajengur have a powerful sense of fulfillment in their achievements. Theirs is an attitude that although life is harsh, even brutal, one must live in harmony with what one has been given in life. They are content and celebrate many occasions with spontaneous music, singing, and dance. So that's a nice overview of her world. The majors. Vapala, the Diamond Kingdom, whose inhabitants are called the Sky People. As the major arcana are the synthesis of all the cards in the deck, so is Vapala the synthesis of life in the outer regions, the seat of the empire where all comes together. It is the most cosmopolitan kingdom of the outer regions. Prosperous and stable, it has the most advanced technology in the outer regions, and its people tend to be competitive and resourceful. The terrain is flat grasslands with great rocky outcrops atop lofty mesas overlooking the deserts far below. Deep canyon mazes guard the approaches to the mesas. It's kind of interesting because I was seeing that the majors kind of being possibly all of the deck. Again, as I was going through it recently, there's quite a bit from what I was, like I would look at a card and I would think, I'm not sure I've got a good fix on that. I would go to the guidebook and it would seem to have to do with power. Like as you'll see momentarily, this being the Fool, I put the deck back in order. I'm not sure if you can see that, but and I've got the webcam kind of fixed in terms of focus, but his eyes are like vacant. They're bizarre. They're lit with an otherworldly light that doesn't look good. Um, and it's kind of about power. And the high priestess is so heavily garbed, she could be a male. You can't see any of her features. And I don't have any problem with that. But one of the things I have wondered about in this deck is that so many cards are similar that, like, if I didn't have the high priestess there, I don't think I would get that that was the high priestess. It could be a king, it could be a queen, it could be the high priest, the Hierophant. But also, the Wheel of Fortune is essentially about power, which I'll talk about when I get to it. So that was one concern, was that there's, even though I love that they have what appear at any rate to be snow leopards in here. I think it's snow leopards, jaguars, or leopards. I think there's the pentacles, which makes sense for the round patterns on their fur. And then black panthers, I think, are one of them. Probably the swords. And then bobcats is another one. Did I get that? That's only 4. Anyway, and so one of the things I started on actually last night was I went through, and I know I finished the majors. I'm not sure where I left off, and depending on how that all goes, how I feel about it when I'm finished with it, I might share it on here. But I was assigning each of these a power. For example, this was the power of freedom. The Fool was the power of freedom. The Magician was the power of manipulation. The High Priestess was the power of insight. The Empress, I think, was the power of fertility. And I don't remember what the Emperor was, because it's kind of like the power of power. I can't remember. So we have the High Priest was the power of ritual and tradition, which is, back when I was initially trying to relate to the deck when I got it, which is a good year ago, I think, if not more. I was flipping through one day and realized that it was a lot about, or that a lot of the cards had single people, and that may have been part of the reason why I was so attracted to it, is, that its independence was coming across in the deck. So here's the Wheel of Fortune, and it was talking about this character, and I was looking it up because he has cat eyes, which you probably can't see here, but he has those vertical slits for eyes. And none of the other, I thought there was one other character that actually had that. So I was trying to understand that, and she was likening him, or essentially saying he was the emperor, that this was the emperor holding this wheel, which is kind of a yin and yang wheel, or hot and cold colors is what's being depicted there. But but it isn't completely the emperor. Similar, but it doesn't appear to be. He does have a mustache. And that it's the emperor who holds the fate of people in his hands. To me, that's a very different meaning than the traditional tarot wheel, which is more indifferent, not at all at the whims or machinations of a specific individual within a larger community. So So these things got me to thinking about this deck in a little bit of a different way. And so I decided to go through and see what I could come up with in terms of assigning powers to each of the cards. And I don't know that I'll get beyond the major arcana, but I might. And even if, I think it's a worthwhile exercise, probably even in a regular, Rider-Waite-Smith or whatever deck you have, how each card is speaking about a particular kind of power. And maybe, somebody in a book somewhere in tarot history has referred to cards in that way and created a set of associations that have to do with power. I don't know. But I wondered also if I would come up with something for each of the suits. For example, that these would be all the power of. Say this was, and this isn't what I came up for this. I can't remember what I came up for this. Came up with. I don't know. Right now I'm just thinking the power of mastery. Could even be because the world is kind of outside of her, the power of detachment. Because to me the world is partly detachment from the wheel of fortune. You've managed to step outside of those ups and downs. So that each suit would have their own blank of, like, if, let's look at her thing about the suit of swords again. They are known for great courage and endurance. Can be aggressive, volatile, nervous, and excitable. So you could, potentially with the suit of swords, it could be courage too. For example, with this guy with his shield, the courage to stand your ground. The courage to stand your ground. The courage to make difficult choices. Two of Swords. So I think I remember for this, Three of Swords, which is not as brutal as a previous, as other Three of Swords. I said it was the power of a stalemate. But here I don't know what it would be. The courage to I could see this, the courage to stand, or to, yeah. Well, there's a lot of different ways you could say it. So what's coming to mind at the moment is the courage to have someone's back. So you can see these two people as being in disagreement and turning away from each other, but you can also see them as having each other's back, guarding each other's back. And I don't know if the kitty at the bottom is going to pick up the sword if something comes from the side or not. But you could see this as the courage to have another's back despite differences. So maybe they are arguing, but they still have one another's back. Again, this would be, the courage to separate yourself from conflict and take a rest. So we'll see how it all goes. But, framing these things is helping me relate to the deck. And I got this deck and I felt really attracted to this deck, and it felt kind of shamanic when I first got it. And I think it's a little less so now. But this is one of the decks, like the Tarot of the Southwest Sacred Tribes, that I have been like worried. It's one of these decks that I'm really attracted to, but can't in the end really relate to. I'm not going to really find a use for. It, you know, will kind of remain an attractive or mysteriously attractive. You know, I like the art, but I don't like the art, you know, as much as say I like some of the art in the Greenwood. So yeah, so if it's just any deck that is kind of based on, well, I was really attracted to it and I really like it. If it doesn't have a use, if I can't use it, then it's doomed. And I end up letting it go. So, and here we are at the wands. So the wands also kind of do some conjuring here. Like she's kind of, I don't know if she's lighting the way for this, but this is like a cat being born from the fiery vapors, or it's kind of like it how it reads in the book. Let me see her. Where's the Ace of Wands? It says, as only woman can give birth, a female figure uses her wand to greet a fire cat, which is born of the fires of creation. It comes forth fully grown, ready, and enterprising. Anyone lucky enough to encounter a fire cat will live happily ever after. So, you know, it kind of gives a very different vibe to me to the Ace of Wands. Some of the cat expressions are so funny and great. It's like, you know, the people are, not all of them, but a lot of them are kind of flat aspected again. But the cats add some comic relief in this deck in a lot of ways. Not always, but they can. And so like the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands have a very different, you know, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere or planning to go anywhere. She doesn't look like she's expecting any ships. Maybe she is standing there to greet somebody and take them into the darkness that is behind her. It's pretty common in this deck also to have these dark portals, especially in the wands. That's why I was thinking that they might have something to do with lighting the darkness. And so I think this, so she had assigned like music and dance and celebration and that kind of thing to the suit of cups, and yet it's the suit of wands and in the suit of pentacles where she has the two musical cards. I don't think there's anything in the cups. We'll have to see when we get there. But I love that card. The music, getting attention. But again, to me, it's actually quite different than the Four of Wands in a traditional, like Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Here we have none of the wands lit up. So that's part of the trick, I think, of different decks, is to notice what's different and what's the same from card to card. So, and so here's some more of those dark backgrounds, like standing in front of a structure that is not at all lit. And the Page of Wands definitely looks like he is lighting the way. He almost has a hermitish aspect. Except his kitty is totally in love with him. Queen. Okay, so the Ace of Cups has a blissful kitty representing it. A lot of the cups kind of bubble. So they're like potions. And even though there's a cat here, you know, that's only two. And you actually have two cups upright and one cup tipped over. So if you were to look at this as we do the 5, and it looks almost like the 4 has become the 5 here, although the 5 is also downcast. Yeah, that the 3 is that you do have the 2 and 1 is missing or gone, although she doesn't look sad. So yeah, this again, it's the 4, it's not the 5, but this kitty has a tear. And there's even just a little bit coming out of the 1 cup that's in her hand. And again, this cup is the largest, so it's like the, you know, she's lost a lot, but this, you know, she still has enough. And then the 5 has been assigned to couples, and it's almost like they're trying to figure it out. So, you know, there are some definite variations. Here we've got a bubbly potion. So that's part of the reason you know, when I was going through it again and had some questions about some of the cards, and I'm like, well, I really need to read this. I need to read the book through to really get a feel for what's going on here. And here in the 8 of Cups, all of the cups are turned over. Even the cat looks downcast here. I love this 10 with all of the cats rubbing up against him and up on his neck, and so cozy. So they're not facey cards, but they're very much kind of full body portraits, you know, without very much in the way of background clues. So it's interesting to me that she used what appears to be in the decoration and the design behind, like the Northwest, the Native American nations of the Northwest, and their art style is being used in the cup courts. Well, 2 of them. Yep, only the king and the queen. That makes me curious. Let me look and see if there's any in the other. Well, that's the cups. So where's my... No. Maybe she only did it with the cups. You know, and they are fishing people. They are people of waters. So it's interesting that she did that. All right, so we have the Suit of Pentacles, and again you have a person with the pentacle here, and again to me that could be confusing. I mean, that could be the queen or a page of pentacles, so I will have to get to know the deck. She doesn't look like she's juggling particularly. She's got again, kind of with the Wheel of Fortune, she uses hot and cold colors to indicate differences. So kind of trying to decide between. This is a sad card. See, this would have been more Five of Pentacles to me. Excuse me, Five of Cups. This is the Five of Pentacles, Five of Cups. But she's trying to show here that the spirit of the cat is still there. So this is like supposed to be like the design in the church. And so this is the spiritual aspect, I suppose. But yeah, kitty passed away. This is actually very traditional. Six of Pentacles with all the kitties begging for food. Very traditional. Seven. So again, here's our arts. And again, there was nothing. I'm going to look again at the cups, but there was nothing artsy in the cups. I'm going to read again in the guidebook and see what I'm... If anything, they... You know, they have more sadness. So let me look at the cups again. Am I remembering wrong? Suit of Cups. The people of Ajengir, or Ajenger, have a powerful sense of fulfillment in their achievements. Theirs is an attitude that though life is harsh, even brutal, one must live in harmony. So maybe it's emotionally brutal. They are content, and see, I didn't see that, and celebrate many occasions with spontaneous music, singing, and dance. And that isn't in the suit. So maybe I'm going to have to take the book with a grain of salt. And those are the salt people. So maybe I need to take the Suit of Cups with a grain of salt. Of course, tears are salty, right? They need to hang out with the people in the Pentacles and the Wands in order to cheer themselves up. I love all the crazy cat faces between the pentacles, crammed between the pentacles there. So are these all like domestic cats? Do these guys even have cats? So that seems to be the case, that the pentacles have domestic cats. So that's the cats, the type of cat that I was kind of missing. I think the other suits do too, but there's within the courts, there's a specific, oh, and they are, yeah, they're the leopards. But I felt like I was missing one, so I'll have to go back through and look. You know, the page is leans on the association of steady with the page of Pentacles. And there they are. The Tarot of the Cat People. So we have leopards with their pentacly spots for, and then tigers for the cups. That's what I was forgetting. Tigers, and that makes a lot of sense too, because tigers do love the water. And then bobcats, or maybe it's supposed to be lynx, but they strike me as more looking like bobcats. For the wands, and black panthers of whatever kind for these swords. And the swords, do they all have, they have black, 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 but not all. Black backgrounds. I wonder if it's all the same, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and this 9, 10 have the dark backgrounds. And 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 have black backgrounds in this. Well, let's see if there's any consistency here. 10, 9, 8. Well, the 7 doesn't have a black black backgrounds. But yeah, how interesting. Not so much in the cups. Not so much in the cups. But in the other three minors, the 5 through the 10 are darker. Have dark backgrounds, with this exception in this particular suit. How interesting. So that's the kind of thing that I need to get familiar with. And so maybe this is, I was kind of regretting in a sense, you know, it's October and I would want to pull out like maybe my Dark Fairy Tale or the Dark Mansion or Ghosts and Spirits Tarot. There's at least one other, you know, that, you know, those things that could, that really kind of, the words that's coming to mind is sing to Halloween, you know, celebrate and just identify with that whole vibe. So I kind of regretted, you know, not being free to do that. And I don't feel free. I feel like this deck is long overdue for connection. But it does have some dark, whoops, that's not going to show you. Some dark vibes, and I think not dark Halloweeny vibes, but dark autumnal sort of vibes going on in the deck. So so at least it does have that. But yeah, I definitely felt like there were a set of decks that absolutely needed more attention from me, and so I am not going to deviate from this. If anything, a fair portion of October is going to be taken up by the remains of the Past Lives Workbook spreads. So I need to make sure that I get this out and I find ways to use it and spreads to use it with. All right, so I've rambled and I have enjoyed rambling. Truth be told, I have enjoyed rambling about this deck and I'm looking forward to getting to know it better. And I was just about to shuffle it, but I'm not going to shuffle it because I was going through it to do that power of thing. And we'll see if I come up with other ofs for the pentacles and wands, etc., cups. All right, so I'm going to let it go with that. And yep, you'll be seeing more of the kitties and their companions throughout the month of October. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.